Welcome back to the Let Me Take You Higher podcast. My name is Mr. Villain. Today, we're tackling a pressing issue that's affecting everyone, the cost of living crisis. From groceries to rent, many of us are feeling the financial pinch as prices soar while wages stagnate. So buckle up, because we're about to explore why your wallet feels a lot lighter these days and what we can do about it. And joining us today is our co-host of Mr. GG Luigi. He's going to be here to bring us his unique take and insights and sprinkle a little humor onto this very serious and stressful topic. So sit back and relax. We're going higher.
Checking the bills, keeping receipts. Feels like we're drowning in rising heat. From groceries to gas prices sky high. Trying to make ends meet, just getting by. Price tag panic, wages don't grow. Working harder with nothing to show. Counting every dollar, every cent. In a world that takes more than it ever spent. Rent's overdue, loans calling in. Feels like a battle we'll never win. Stretched so thin, holding on tight. Living each day like a long hard fight. Price tag panic, bills won't slow. Hustling harder, still so low. Counting every dollar, every cent. Wondering the good days went. Through the struggle, finding strength inside. Learning to bend, but not to hide. We're in it together, we'll find our way. Fighting for tomorrow, through today. Price tag panic, we'll hold the line. Living through struggle, looking to shine. Counting every dollar, every cent. Making the most with what we're lent. Price tag panic, wages don't grow. Working harder with nothing to show. Counting every dollar, every cent. Making the most with what we're lent. What we're lent. What we're lent. Through the struggle, finding strength inside. Learning to bend, but not to hide. We're in it together, we'll find our way. Fighting for tomorrow, through today.
Hello and welcome back to the Let Me Take You Higher podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Mr. Villain. And today we're joined by Mr. GG Luigi. GG, are you there?
Of course. It's a pleasure to be
Well,
here.
It's good to hear your voice, brother. So
I know it's
today,
been a minute.
it's been a little bit, yeah. So, but I know you're back and you got a lot of interesting tidbits and tales for us as we go and explore future podcasts. But today we're going to be talking about what we like to call, not that we like to call it, but it's a crisis out there for people. And I think it's one of the top things on mind for most voters because, as you know, this is, I believe, the 26th. We do voting November the 5th here in the States. And I know that we have a global audience, so I want them to, or I'm sure they're already aware of it. This is such a pocket button issue for Americans. But imagine this, you're at the grocery store, and every visit feels like a budget nightmare. What once was $50 now sets you back about $75. This cost of living crisis, it acts like an invisible tax, kind of just follows around like a ghost. Everywhere you're going, it's like, oh no, wait, I gotta take my 5% or my 2%. But that keeps those prices rising. And for most of people who are living paycheck to paycheck, that's a silent draining of your income. And as jobs want to provide you with a whole lot less, but require a whole lot more, it can be crippling to the average citizen. So, how did we really arrive to this point, Gigi? What do you think happened over the last 4 years, 5 years?
I mean, obviously, date back 4 years. You have COVID. That
Oh yeah,
definitely. I feel like we're just like feeling the aftermath of COVID still in a lot of ways.
oh
Um,
yeah,
I feel like there were a lot of rushed policies that probably like sounded good in the moment, and like now it's
yeah,
like now the taxpayer has to like pay for it.
yeah,
So like all
yeah.
those stimulus checks and the bonuses
And we did.
towards unemployment.
That is
Yeah.
what I honestly, Gigi, you hit the nail, one of the many nails on on the button here. I believe we had collective amnesia, and get it, guys, I totally get it. COVID, the whole the 2020, 2021, 2022 were, like, the worst years in well, some of the worst years in American history, and people have collective amnesia. I mean, I guess we don't understand or we don't realize what was going on at that period of time, of course, because when COVID hit us in 2020, it's not that we had the strongest economy, we didn't, but it was okay. It was 2% GDP growth. Stock market was rallying, but as soon as COVID hit, you couldn't find toilet paper. You
Oh yeah,
couldn't find
remember that?
you could yeah, you couldn't get baby formula. I'm not talking just for from Friday to Thursday, you couldn't get it for months, and all the ports were locked. They had to do I know that when Biden came to office, one of the first things that he had to sign into to effect was like 24-hour cycles of the ports opening up. So
Yeah, I
people were
remember that
still
too.
yeah, and if we didn't do that, we'd still be in a crisis. Like, the bottleneck would have still been here, like if it was, like, only a year or 2 ago. So, I mean, and that's a big part of it. What else do you think there, Gigi?
Yeah, it's just again, I wasn't like I don't not saying like they were bad policies. I was just like there's just it was just a lot. Like the whole nation was under panic, under lockdown. Businesses were going out left and right.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I just feel like that's probably the strongest is COVID. I
Mhm.
know the housing market like crisis. Yeah, big
Oh, yeah.
corporations like buying out lots of land and then just like renting it.
Blackstone,
Yeah.
you know.
Wait,
Mhm.
what?
Oh, yeah. So Blackstone is a corporation. There's a few corporations. There's Blackstone, but it's at the top. So what it's doing is it's going out and buying underdepreciated housing and housing that's going into foreclosure, housing in bad areas, think gentrification, and they are buying those houses for like pennies on the dollar, and then setting them up as rental properties and charging the max. Which is if you're a business person, I get it. That's the best strategy ever. Buy low, sell high, but what it's doing is it's creating a chasm of depreciation, and it's creating a false sense of, property values because you're manipulating the entire market, you know? So and we're seeing the effects of that because they've been doing this since COVID. Well, everybody was at home. Companies like Blackstone was buying up property left and right with foreign money. So, with all that being said, do you believe this is a manufactured crisis by corporate greed? I mean, do you think that's because if we're going back to it, guys, inflation can only really be caused by the government, if we're thinking about that. But this does not feel like real inflation. Not like '70s inflation when it was the oil embargoes with Iran. This is kind of feels like a fake inflation because there are some stores you go to and you feel like you're back in the not the 1990s, but like the early 2000s, like, oh, this is a great price. But you go to another store and it's the same item and it's like up like 10 to 20%. So,
Yeah,
I mean, do you think that people are using and abusing us?
I think so. Because I wish I could remember what graph I was looking at, but it was pretty much comparing the quote unquote rise of inflation to like corporate profit, like overall profit, and
Mhm,
the ratio. If it was inflation and they were adjusting prices because of inflation, it should have
mhm.
stayed relatively the same.
Yes.
Um, like in terms of like the percentage of inflation should have been reflected onto the price, but their profit went sky high. So
Yeah.
they made a lot more money. They're making a lot more money, which means that they just want more profit.
They're they're gouging.
That's
So,
yeah, and that's what's causing a lot of the inflation.
and one of the things that people say, well, oh, grocery stores really, they don't make a lot of money per item. I mean, they make pennies on the dollar. Well, yeah, if you think about it, grocery stores make like 3 or 4 percentage points or percent per actual product. So what do? You do raise it up another 3 or 4%, but you spread that across the board. That's nickels and dimes that add up to millions and millions of dollars extra in profit that you didn't have to do much with, but added up. A little bit here, a little bit there. That's all going to one person. If it was just going to a few thousand people, then it wouldn't look like much on any kind of a sketchboard. But when you kind of magnify that out, there's 1 or 2 companies that own almost all grocery stores. HEB is the largest private grocery store in Texas, and I'm sure at one point it'll be public and it'll grow outside of its borders. But things like that matter. And if you do a little bit here, a little bit there, nobody takes notice of it until we come to a place where we are right now. So while the cost of living, the living crisis is not a new phenomenon by any stretch, recent global events have intensified, like the pandemic, which we talked about. We had supply chain disruptions, inflation, which was baked in because everybody wanted free money, $750 here, 1450 there. I remember because our old former president was signing the checks because why? I have no idea. And
He
geopolitical
actually sent
tension.
he actually well, I don't not him personally, but I got checked with like his signature on it. Like he made sure to sign
Yeah,
it. I'm
bro.
pretty sure I even opted into direct
Let
deposit,
me,
but I still got a check signed. Like, here you
yeah,
go. Here's
let
your
me,
autograph.
let me, bro. Okay, so in the history of historydom in America, when you're getting money from the government, no one signs the money except for the Secretary of the Treasury, because he pretty much is that bank account, whatever. The president opted to take the secretary's name, Steve Mnuchin, off of the checks and put his own check. Never before in the history of America has a president signed a check. It's not his to sign. He does not control the purse. That would be another whole job, like the Secretary of the Treasury, right?
Yeah.
So why would he do that? Well, an election. So every time you look at a check with $750, 12, whatever those checks was, you see the president's name on it. His name ain't supposed to be on those checks. He did that for like a clout to say, "Hey, I'm giving you money. Look at the name,"
I think
And
it
that
was
was a
also because of the election at the time. It was like all that was
yeah,
happening during the election. So he rushed his checks
absolutely.
out and everything.
And now we have people who were getting those checks back in the day, and they're now voting age, and they're like, "Well, I remember when the president was fixing the economy, he was giving out checks." At first, Trump didn't want to give out any money. His team had to force him, and it took an act of Congress to make him do it. Then, when he figured out it was a winning strategy, he started signing checks like left and right. But guys, nothing is for free. When you take a check like that, everybody was wondering, and you remember this, Gigi, are we going to have to pay taxes on that? No, you're not gonna have to pay taxes on that. You're gonna have to pay inflation on that. It's a tax on itself, and that's what we're dealing with. That's one of the main reasons that that we're in the situation that we're in. But going back to the actual topic, we have the inflation, we had geopolitical tensions like the Ukraine war, which is still going on.
Yeah.
We've
Even
had
though it's not the hot topic right now, it's still going on, everybody.
yeah, it's very much very, very active and alive. And we also had some historically economic strains, which came in waves, back and forth, back and forth. But this crisis feels particularly relentless. People worldwide are left wondering if things will ever return to normal or if this is the new normal. Do you believe, Gigi, that this is our new normal?
it's hard to say because it's like, what do you do? Like pass legislation, and then
Yeah.
like what's the outcome and side effects of that?
Mhm.
So it's a tough situation. So it's like, yeah, I want to say it's normal, but what needs to happen is some sort of adjustment needs to be made because like
Yeah.
the cost of living to average like wage in America is the
Yeah.
gap is just way too
It's
astronomical.
yeah. But if we look, so and people are like, well, why can't we just cap and regulate? You can't really do that, guys, because if you cap a businessman say you can only make this much money in this particular sector per the U.S. government. They're not going to want to be in that sector. So who do you have providing people with those needs that they have in that particular sector? No one's going to touch a capped market, and we are a free market system. Capitalization, whatever you feel about the way we do our system is whatever it is, but it's worked for us for over 250 years. We're not going to go back, so you have to learn to live with it. And if you don't address corporate greed in a way that's not tumbling or deterring the free market system, it's a cap on making money in business, and you could do it, but there's a lot of things other than that that come with with those kind of proposals. But if we think about this, guys, there are key players in this crisis, this economic crisis. Policymakers such as Jerome Powell, who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank, and they're tasked with the difficult balance of managing inflation and supporting economic stability. On the other hand, public figures like Elon Musk, whom I don't that's a whole other podcast, are my feelings on Elon Musk and what he's doing. But we
Oh yeah,
won't go into that. Yeah. Have sparked controversy with remarks suggesting people should just work harder. In contrast, advocates like Alexandra Ocasio Cortez are pushing for wage increases and price controls to help everyday individuals. Now, this brings me to a topic because we are in an election. I saw a picture of Trump at the McDonald's, and he was asked by average everyday McDonald's goers, quote unquote, so does this mean that McDonald's payers are going to get a wage increase? And I'm not sure if you saw this, Gigi, or if you knew about it. I'm sure you probably did. But his reply was, that's got to be an act of Congress. If it's good for the nation, we'll definitely look into it. Blah, 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 blah. So you already
yeah.
know where this guy's head is when it comes to the average worker. And did you fucking see him slinging those fries? I don't know. Did you?
I didn't see. I mean, I've seen him. Like, I know he likes McDonald's. Didn't he have like a fast food party at the White House?
He had a fast food party at the White House for, I don't remember the team, but some team broke through and won some title.
Yeah.
And I remember the teams who wouldn't even go to the White House when they won. They were like, nah, we're good. We'll wait till you're out of office. But
Was
guys,
it a
so the
COVID
reason
thing? They just ordered a bunch of like McDonald's and like KFC and shit. It was like Talladega Nights.
let me just okay, so I've looked into this over the years of why he only eats McDonald's and drinks Diet Cokes and all this weird shit. So he's always been afraid of being poisoned. I don't know why. I don't know why he would be afraid of being poisoned by all the people he stiffed, especially the Polish Americans on his buildings. But anyway,
What
so
does
he
Diet
goes
Coke have to do with poison? That is
so
poison.
and well, yeah, right. But if so, his thing was if he just randomly shows up up at McDonald's and no one knows that he's there, the food will be fresh and no one's going to try to poison. So
I
it
guess if
was
you
a
go
whole
to the
doc.
drive-through.
Yeah, but I'm like, dude,
But
you're
then
the
again,
former
you come to
president.
the drive-through and hear, "Yeah, I have a Big Mac. It'll be the biggest Mac. The
It'll
Mac
be
is
the biggest,
bad.
most glorious back with extra lettuces.
The
But here's
lettuce
the thing,
has to be Mac sauce." And I was like, "What? What are you talking about, man?
it's
Get out of here."
bro, it is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, he's been subscribed to this for over 20 years. He only eats fast food, which would explain a lot of stuff. But anyway, I can't even with him. I just can't. And I look, we have an economic crisis that is so hard on people. And I totally get it, guys. Gigi and I are totally remorseful to the way it is really treating the average American. They're really hurting. And it's not because if you look at the stock market, it's the highest it's ever been.
Oh yeah,
If you look at Bitcoin, it's the highest it's ever been. If you look at the GDP, our GDP growth, the largest GDP growth year over year all over the world, unemployment 4.1% at the last marker. We had job growth of, I think, over 150 in a sector where job growth wasn't even supposed to be above 100,000. So, by all accounts, the economy is burning and turning. It's the best economy for the last 20 years right now. You're in it. But what I would tell you is if you're doing something that you did 20 years ago and this economy is not for you. I hate to say it, but you cannot keep doing the same thing that you've always done and expect this economy to be a friend to you. It's
No,
not gonna.
not at all.
And it's a harsh tale of a real reality. So if you want an economy that's in the 90s, that means we have to wrap up, go 25 to 30 years back in the past, and everything has to follow. You can't have one without the other. So what I would tell you is think better, think harder, think what can I do to make myself really shine in the economy? Does everyone honestly believe that coal is going to be around for another 25 years? Then maybe that's the wrong thing to delve into. You have EV cars, you've got solar panels, you've got wind, you've got water, hydro electricity, you've got nuclear that's making a big comeback to supply AI because the AI takes a lot of power to, and our system isn't set up for as much power as AI is going to take in the future. There are many things that you can do right now to prepare yourself for the future, but having someone from the past come back to run the future isn't one of them. I mean, what do you think about that, Gigi?
No, I totally understand. That was one of my biggest problems that I feel like I have with the American government is that it's a bunch of old people who've been screwing up the country for years and
Oh, yeah.
years and years and years, and they're just like,
Yeah.
let's just give it another go around. We got
Yeah.
it. Vote for
We
me.
got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another go around. No, we need new ideas. We need people
Yes.
who need to let go of that old style of thinking.
Bring it
Something is
back.
holding us back, and it's the people that were born before the 1950s who are still in office. There's
Right.
no 1960s even. Like there's just no need for it.
Right. And if you look at this, guys, there's two economies always going in different directions in America. It has been that way since Reagan. And Reagan created it. He created the two subversive economies. He separated Wall Street from Main Street. And those two paths are always diverging. Wall Street, the economy that we are in right now, is a Wall Street economy. It's ripe because if you own stock, if you if you have a 401k plan, a Roth RIA, if you have any of that, you're celebrating. You're the toast of the town. Your money has almost doubled and tripled. Tesla came out with horrible truck and
It
a
looks like
horrible.
Tomb Raider. Every time I see it, I think of Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I mean it's
Lara Croft triangle titties looking truck.
bro, it's horrible. And then recently at this expo they had at Universal Studios, they came out with a self-piloted van, which holds 20 people that looks like a garbage truck on four fucking wheels. And then they came out with an autonomous car that Elon believes that people are going to use their car to make money in a hustler society, which guys, we are going to be doing a hustler, the world of the hustler episode soon. So that'll tie in perfectly with that.
We're talking about
Um,
the adult magazine, right?
yeah. Whatever happened to Hustler? Let's
I have
not get
no
our
idea.
ADHD all tied up.
Nah, I'm just
But
kidding. Just
an autonomous car, which is when I'm not driving my car every day, that drives me with no windows in it, makes it look like a freaking cave or a prison. It's going to drive to other people's houses and drive them around, and I'm going to make money off of that. And no, nobody wants anybody in their car unless it's a friend and you're going up the street. Nobody wants someone to randomly be driving their car and then bring it back a day later with full of filth and cat fur and mildew and piss. No, Elon, you're missing the point. Every idea isn't a good idea. Okay, so that's my rant on that stupid shit, and that's why his Tesla machine dived. It went down like he lost about $14 billion in that stupidity. But because he said that Tesla is not an AI company, it's a car company. Well, duh. His stock rose again. So now he's a toast of the town again within a week. But that's stock market. So if you're in the stock market, You're in the Wall Street economy, and it's the best economy it's been in since the '80s, to be honest with you, if we're being honest. But if you're in Main Street, you're paying for it.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, that's what it is. It gives off either way. So, if Main Street is paying for everything, think about it, guys. You're setting the scene for the future because there is nobody population on the planet that has what we have. We have what's called first world problems. Oh, the gas has gone up 32 cents in the last year and a quarter. Well, if you're in France, it's like 15 bucks a gallon, and you give up 75% of your pay in taxes. That's Europe. That's Europe. Just so that you know, because they pay for everything. They pay for your health care and food subsidies for kids. It costs money to do this. So if we want to forward our economy, we have to pay for it now. And it's going to cost us 30 cents here, a little bit higher in your property taxes for the kids in their schools, and a new fire building, and a new police. It costs money. And what it is about Americans, we don't want to pay that. I mean, do you feel that? Gigi, do you think that Americans, we just don't want to pay? We want all the glory and all the fame, but we don't want to foot the bill for that shit.
I think so. I also think there's like a huge distrust towards the government, and I don't even mean just like towards any specific party. I think there's like the whole operating system people
Yeah,
feel like is shady.
it
I
is.
will say this: Trump did throw one of the district delegates under the bus from Baltimore, saying that
Mhm.
I gave you like couple $1 billion to like turn your neighborhood around, and it was just potholes, boarded up buildings, just
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
destruction. And it did
Mhm.
like the couple of billions of dollars, like it didn't even seem like it even touched the ground. So it's like, yeah, I would love to throw my money into it, but is it actually going towards that? Like our mayor in Baltimore spent
Mhm.
millions of dollars on like these children books. It was a money laundering scheme. Million
Oh, I heard
dollars,
about that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
millions of dollars on these like terrible, like looks like someone from. And I don't mean this to be negative, but like it for like little kids in like Baltimore, Maryland, they had like
Yeah.
these books that would look like they were put together from like kids from another country.
Oh,
The language, the grammar was off. The pictures were just like
mhm.
it didn't make any sense. And they bought millions of dollars worth of these books. And the
Yeah,
mayor resigned when
I
they
remember that.
came down on her. So it's like
Yeah.
I would love to spend money and invest in these things, but like, is it really going in the right hands? That's where I think a lot of people are concerned with.
And that is the thing. What it is, Gigi, and it kinda I've talked to a lot of people over the course of the last 3 or 4 months. It's election season here, and I'm talking about people on Facebook and on Instagram and their feelings about everything, just to get a sense of where we are as a political structure, where we are as a country. And people are so misinformed, and that's the takeaway. People really believe things that they hear on X and social media. These people are craven lunatics. Not the people I've talked to, but the people who are setting us up for failure. So in an economy where you got one person on top, a hegemony or an autocracy or an oligarchy, you've got a person like Elon Musk telling you how you should spend your money. This guy doesn't even buy a house. His house is like a tiny house. And he still to this very day crashes on friends' sofas. The richest man in the world will not buy a house. Okay. And I don't know what you want to take away from that, but he'll tell you that you should buy a car that costs $100,000 that looks like an 1875 Octagon wagon or whatever, and that's going to help you get through the day. No, sir, you're out of order. And if you are the world's richest man and you're talking to Putin about global interferences and exchanges, and don't put your satellites over Taiwan, who do you think you are? You're not elected. You just did well by stealing other people's ideas. And when you do something like that and then you try to get into politics, that is a recipe for disaster. It honestly really is. But I swear to you, I'm gonna unload in another podcast about the dangers of letting the oligarchy class dictate your everyday lives. We're gonna do something like that. I don't know. But looking ahead, what does the future hold? Will technological advances and remote work ease the cost of living, or will inequality continue to widen? Skyrocketing housing prices in major cities are pushing individuals further away from their jobs, creating new transportation and quality of life issues. Governments are grappling with these challenges, but viable solutions remain elusive. So, Gigi, what do you think the deep dive on this is? What does it look like to you?
Can you hold on? Sorry, can you reframe that question? So that was a lot.
So, if you have what we have here is we're the past is now meeting the future and it's colliding, right? So
Yes.
you have AI, you've got robots,
Oh,
you've got
absolutely. So
and yeah,
sorry, no, I understand. I understand what you're asking now. So,
yeah,
no, yeah, like technology is evolving so quickly. Like,
yeah,
it used to be like they used to say like, "Oh, we'll have like flying cars by the 2000s and all that." Now, while that may
yeah,
not be true, I never would have thought that we would have actually self driving cars. I mean, they're not like how they are in iRobot, but I mean,
right.
the I don't I can see it getting there. Things
Yeah.
are evolving so quickly. I don't even. I want to say like, yeah, definitely like within the next 50
Oh,
years,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was next 20.
Oh, yeah, bro, they have a taxi with I think it's a taxi that it's an air taxi. So it vertically lifts with, I think, 10 or 12 propellers, and you can drive it just like if you've ever used a console's remote, it's how you drive it. And they're waiting for the Federal Aviation Committee or Association to greenlight it, but it should be out next year, and you'll call it just like a taxi. It does have a real driver, so it won't be autonomous. But yeah, and they're gonna create like little landing docks at every airport. So when you need to get out, avoid traffic, you'll be able to take this thing. And I'm not sure how much it's gonna cost or the company behind it, but it's a game changer. It really will be a game changer, and it holds like 4 or 5 people, maybe 6 tops, and it has room for storage for your luggage. It's crazy. It's here. They've already created it, and
That
it's
is crazy.
made completely of that plastic polymer paper, but it's
Really?
like stronger than steel, but light as a feather. That's the craziest stuff. I was just reading this recently, but it's stuff like that that we can't be scared of it. And yes, I don't hate Elon Musk. But he is going to drive this force. He has the innovation and the knowledge process of who he can utilize to make these dreams come true. But I just want more restraints on wealthy people who don't have any like no rails. Like you can do whatever you want to do and talk to whoever you want to talk to. I think that's weird. I think that adds to our own crisis here at home. And you can't be able to have one person control everyone's destiny. You know what I'm saying? So
No, I absolutely agree. Definitely agree with you on there. I feel like COVID kind of like peeled back the curtain a lot on that kind of stuff because like
yeah.
people kept getting caught doing the same exact thing. They were making speeches about we need to not go outside and quarantine
Mhm.
ourselves, and then they're hosting parties like not even an hour later. And
You
again,
mean the government? Yes.
and I'm
No,
not saying just saying the government, just like it reminds me of a quote that says like fines are only penalties for the poor or something like that.
you know what? It's true.
Like
And the poor suffer the most because they don't have an edge up in life. No one's helping them get up. And that's why you have to hold on to new people in politics, like your Alexandria Ocasio, or if you like AOC, that's fine. She's new to politics, so she's gonna stumble, she's gonna make some mistakes. If you like Kamala Harris, she's new to politics, she's gonna make some mistakes. She may not know what she's doing. As long as her heart is in the right place, they're gonna figure it out. But if you keep on electing Mitch McConnells and Pelosi's and people who are 75, 80 years old, they're still governing from a bygone era. And we're gonna be penalized for it because they don't understand the technology. They don't understand where it's going. Elon Musk is in his 60s, guys. So he's good at getting the right people to do what he wants them to do. If you're like into labor force and unions, that's not the guy for you. I know people who work for him and they work 24-hour shifts. He sleeps at Tesla in his office. His office is right on the main deck where they're building the cars. He just has a desk and a computer, and he sleeps there watching them work. And if he comes over to you and you're not working, although you've been there for 15 hours, you get fired. Who's going to stop him? I mean, is that the world you want to live in? But anyway, As prices continue to rise, the battle of the cost of living is one we're all engaged in. So stay tuned for more discussions on how this crisis affects various sectors and communities and how we might find a way forward. So, Gigi Luigi, you want to take us out with some closing arguments or statements, sir?
Yeah, honestly, hey, guy, like, yeah, the economy, it's I don't want to say it's unpredictable. Like, it will stabilize, but like, if
Oh,
you guys are struggling on your bills, definitely like invest. Like if you guys already have a second job, take budget appropriately, take some extra money, invest it. So that's going to save you in the long run.
it will. And
That's
guys,
how you
and
protect
Gigi
against
is
inflation.
absolutely right.
Really,
Look, always set yourself up for the maximum level of progression. Even if you're, I hate to say the word poor or poverty stricken or you don't make enough money to have fun, forget that life. Do whatever the government legally will allow you to do to put yourself in a better footing. If you got to put away $5 a week, put away those $5 a week and then purchase something that you can invest in that's going to make you more money over time. There's no quick fix to anything in life. There's no quick fix to money. There's no quick fix to financial security. You got to put the work in every day. And I will tell you, it's going to get a little bit bad before it gets worse and before it starts getting better. So prepare accordingly. This has been the Let Me Take You Higher podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Villain, with our co-host, Mr. Gigi Luigi. This has been about a crisis in our pocketbooks. And guys, stay tuned to the next episode. That will definitely be the hustler economy for America. So have a great night and bye-bye for now. And that's a wrap on this episode of Let Me Take You Higher, the podcast. Big thanks to our special guests and a huge shout out to our incredible sponsors. You guys are literally the wind beneath our podcast wings. Remember, this show was dreamed up and brought to life by yours truly, Mr. Villain, and it's all made possible by BC Entertainment LLC, a proud subsidiary of Big Cheddar Music LLC. All rights are reserved by BC Entertainment, so don't even think about touching that dial without permission. Until next time, keep your minds elevated and your vibes higher. This is Mr. Villain signing off. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and stay forever gifted and lifted.
When life storms rage and skies grow dim, we gather the shards, piece by piece within. Through tears and trials, we find our might. Let me take you higher toward the light. Let me take you higher beyond the pain. Where broken dreams mend and hope remains. We'll rise from ashes like a phoenix bold. In the symphony of resilience, our stories unfold. When life storms rage and skies grow dim, we gather the shards, piece by piece within. Through tears and trials, we find our might. Let me take you higher toward the light. Let me take you higher beyond the pain. Where broken dreams mend and hope remains. We'll rise from ashes like a phoenix bold. In the symphony of resilience, our stories unfold.